Good, yeah.
So this is T&D podcast number 1. We're here. We're trying to do a new podcast series since we like to talk a lot and just, visualize ideas. And though me and my brother here, we like to put ideas together and, correlate them to certain aspects in our life and to people's life and just, find new ways of thinking and just internalizing things. I kind of want to pass it on to people who, want to explore something new, explore something different, and actually think about life and think about just new ideas. It's always good to be open-minded, and I think our podcast will offer something like that. So this one's just going to be about origins, and, this is how we start. So say, for example, if I were to tell you we all started from a certain place. We all started from, I guess, like a spark. Like, for example, you hear stories like there's this big bang, or, we start from your mom's womb or stuff like that. Like, what do you think about that? Just having a beginning from somewhere. What do you think?
Beginning, just like when your mind starts to develop, just like
Exactly.
just kind of just like think, just like, well, this is where I'm from, or whatever the case may be,
Exactly. I feel a lot of times, a lot of people where they start, especially in this society now, a lot of people, because, everybody nowadays, they're so insecure and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people, they have a bad beginning. Most of this generation, most of the people nowadays, they just simply, hide behind a wall, and they're so afraid to like express themselves, and be like real and authentic. You don't get that too much. And this is why I kind of want to talk about origins, because I want to talk about our stories as well. I feel so many times, especially after knowing David Goggins, not knowing him, but reading his fucking book, that,
Hey, check in the description,
he's a good man.
I guess
He's
so.
a good man.
The link is David Goggins. We'll link it down there so you guys want to read it. Can't Hurt Me.
Exactly. Do you even have the link for that book?
I mean, shoot, like, you guys copy the link on the bottom, the description, and then check it out.
A free advertisement for my boy.
Free advertisement, there we go.
He served our country well, but, I feel like a lot of times people are afraid to look at the mirror and look from where their humble beginnings are at. Like, we have a problem. Like, a lot of people are insecure. A lot of people are afraid to express themselves or be the person that they truly want to be. Like, we have movie stars, we have athletes here. Like, everybody wants to be the next Odell Beckham Jr. And you can see that shit by all the fucking hairstyles that are out there. Or everybody wants to be the next LeBron James because everybody wants to be dunking or, doing all this crazy shit. Like, I don't think anybody goes back to really where they came from, because the beginning, especially where you start out, they always say your environment matters. Where you start off from, it matters, but nobody really looks into that. What you think?
It's just like, you just have to believe, like, you're having that way of, just origin, you just have to, like, believe where you come from, I guess, and just, stick to it, and then, just being your true self, basically, right? Like, kind of like, just be yourself, kind of Odell Beckham, everyone's trying to beat him while you're running away from yourself. You're just, social media is one of them. Everyone's trying to be like, trying to be the same, it's kind of sad, you put in that way. Just origin is just, I think, just true yourself. That's to me, though. I feel like origin, like, I'm no one by myself. There's none duplicate of myself. I'd be crazy scientific, but there's only one me, and I'll have one mind. So I'm not gonna think the same as you, because you might have different view and points, and your mind is something you can't put a limit on. There's no limit on your mind. Like, your mind can think so many things, like an AI or something like that. Okay, you have limits on it. It has limits. Obviously, you can't really think for yourself. You have to thing for it, basically. I don't know, just something like that. It's off topic, but similar kind of situation.
Hey, no problem. You good? I mean, it's our first podcast. If you're off topic, you're off topic. It happens. So, say for example, what if you were that individual? Like you and I, we've had this problem. Where we started from. Obviously, you didn't live in Vietnam when you were born, right?
No, I was born here.
Okay. Yep. You didn't live in Vietnam. I mean, I was born in Panama, but I didn't really live to explore it. But obviously we had this problem from where we came from to where when we immediately were born and stuff, struggle came. And, nobody really thinks about that too much. Like, the struggle came for us, and, we had a lot of hard times and stuff like that. I guess my question for you would be like, say there was another you out there, another kid who had to, I mean, you could tell the audience this, but I'm just going to give them a little preview of your story. But say you were that kid who had to sleep on the apartment floors again. Or say there was that kid who had to sleep on the apartment floors, and didn't see his mom and dad until like 10 or 12 hours long and stuff like that. Like, how do you get over that hump to believe, hey, I'm going to fucking make it, or I'm going to do it?
Just have the courage, just like, pain's temporary, but that life was temporary too, You have to go through it and experience it. That's how I was raised, obviously. Sleep on a mattress was like, probably, I always give you my phone, for example, like this thick of mattress, and slept on it, obviously.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that thin or thick?
Just like this thin on the floor, obviously.
Damn.
So yeah, I don't know, I don't remember, but it's somewhere near that, like basically on the floor, basically. Well, it's not on the floor because it hurts my back, but have some cushioning, obviously, I mean, that's what I did when I was young, one bed apartment, so on the floor, sometimes sleep on the couch, but it had metal rods or metal and the walls, so like the mattress wasn't that thick, so you feel the bar on your back, so it's not comfortable to sleep on, but it was most cooling because sometimes I get hot at night, so that'll help me cool down a little bit, so you just have to go through it and just experience that. I don't really think about that until later in my life and realize I've been through that stuff. Like, I realize now I have a bed, and I was like, I'm grateful, for both of them, obviously, to experience it and also have a bed. There's something that I never forget in my life because I went through it, so you can never forget it.
That's true. I remember, well, at least when I started out, like, obviously I'm blessed to be here. I always will be, but I remember when I started off, it left a lot of scars in my head that I'll never forget. Cause, the worst thing I believe any individual can see is their family being torn apart by petty things, whether it's the financial burden of bills or, a situation that you didn't prep for, like a death, or just constant fighting over and over. It is so terrible, man. It is like, people take it as a joke, especially when you have two parents, or an individual has two parents that's always been together. But when you're the one that experiences that at a young age, it's terrible. I remember when I was born, yeah, my mom and dad were still together, but they'd always be fighting. They were trying their hardest to make it, but they'd always be in constant battles of this and that over and over. And I remember I'd witness it all the time. They just fight and bicker over and over. I remember all I ever wanted, and I think every kid wants this, especially with the family, is just, all I ever wanted for them was just to love each other and hold each other. That's all I remember. I remember to this day, I remember when I was like 7 years old in Arizona, in Yuma, and I was going with my dad because I lived with him at the time. I remember I was with him. We were visiting our grandparents, and we went to a Walmart or something. And I remember I asked him, I asked him, I was like, where's mommy? Why isn't she here? And I remember I just started crying because it was the most sad thing, and I still remember that because I remember I was just in his passenger seat, and he was like, well, sometimes just things happen. I remember I was just crying because I was like, you know, you always want your family together, and it's tough for a lot of kids and a lot of people to deal with that. I mean, I'm not saying this for comparison, but you know, when you're older and you deal with a divorce, it's a shock, but it's easier to handle because at that time you've already dealt with so much. But for a child being born into an environment of stress and all this fighting and bickering and torment, and you know, parents cussing at each other, being like, oh, Vanessa's a bitch, you know, don't talk to her, or be like, oh, John is this asshole who didn't care about you, or stuff like that. When you hear that over and over, it just creates a sense of like, why the fuck are you even fighting in the first place? Like, we weren't even here. Like, why are you doing it? You know, I mean, that's how I started. And I'll never forget that, and it created a lot of problems in my life from my humble beginnings.
I don't really know about that story, but man, we all start somewhere, I guess you say. You know, that's what we call origin, right? Mm-hmm. Starts from somewhere, and we've been through it. We learned from it. Like you said, it would never, you know, always stay with us. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true.
You would never forget it because you just can't. It's in your head forever. Mm-hmm. Regardless of money, whatever, it still remembers. You know, it still haunts you sometimes.
That's true. For me, I guess a lot of people can relate for it. I think, well, actually I know, like my origin story, it held me back a lot because I never, you know, everybody's searching for true peace, and I feel like, you know, in the beginning you kind of have that certain peace, especially when you're a kid and stuff like that. But I never really had that, you know, that true peace, just that happiness, you know, and I still go through it. I mean, it's not as much no more, but that true peace to where I could be happy and have no worries. I don't think there was a time I never had that, because even though I was with my dad or mom at Christmas, I'd always be thinking about the other one, being like, oh, are they okay? You know, what are they doing? You know, I miss them, I love them. And you'd always think that. But, you know, what made it worse for me and horrendous was, you know, going to my grandparents almost every summer and hearing them try to convince me that my mom was a bitch, my mom was a fucking tyrant, my mom was this, my mom was that. Like, that is one of the worst things to hear, because you hate hearing that. It is so terrible. It is so disgusting. I remember I hated hearing that because my grandparents, or my grandma, she'd always do this. She'd be like, come here, Dominic, sit here. Let's talk, you know, let's talk about Vanessa. And she'd be like, Vanessa's a bad lady. You don't know what she did to John. You don't know what. And like, I didn't want to hear it because I never wanted to get into it, but they would it'd be like a screwdriver and you're trying to fucking thrust the bolt inside like the socket or in like this little hole. They would just keep pressing and applying pressure and being like, no, let's talk about it. Why you love your mom so much? Like, you know, she did this, she never cared about you, da, da, da. And I would be like, I don't know what to say. I love her, I'm sorry. And she was like, how can you still love her? How can you do that? And I lived with that with my whole life, to where in elementary school and middle school when I went, like, I never really had a sense of okay, I can be happy, I can relax or chill now. Because every day, and when I look back to it, I kind of try my best to avoid it through video games or just, just trying to get away from that reality of being like, okay, my family's divorced, or my dad is doing stupid shit, or hearing my grandma and grandpa be like, oh, this and that. Like, I'd hate it. And like I said, the worst thing is for a grandparent to convince you that, or somebody to convince you, someone that you love and cherish and has been there for you. The worst thing is for that person who's against them is to try to convince you that they're heinous to your life. And one thing that always happened, I'll never forget, is my grandparents got a counselor, and they were trying to psychologically convince me that, oh, hey, your mom doesn't care about you, your mom's a bitch. They were trying to verify that and accolade it to my mind. And, I kind of don't blame them because they just fought and bickered. But, they kind of brought it upon themselves. They never once looked in the mirror and were like, hey, maybe there's a better situation. Because I remember when I was young and I was at my grandparents' house one time, my dad, he was there. He was in the grandparents' house. I remember he was making a sandwich. He had his T-shirt off, and he was looking cool. He had a cowboy hat. He was happy. He was with his grandparents, and I couldn't blame him. I was happy being around with them because I did fishing. I was happy with that. But I'll never forget the day, I'll never forget the day the doorbell rang, and he opened the door, and there was a cop outside, and he was like, "Are you John Muehlhausen?" And he's like, "Yes, sir." And he got arrested for kidnapping when it really wasn't. My mom just said it was kidnapping. And he went to jail, and I think my parents had to use $8,000 to bail him out and stuff like that. And I remember I just deal with that shit. And those memories, it always be lodged into my mind. But at the end of the day, I just put them away over and over until high school hit. So,
that's like
not really humble beginnings, but you know how it go.
Just straight to the point, it's just not a lot of people will just. You kept it strong, man. You set the you said it was it's nothing. You prepare for this. It took a lot of guts to say that, Because as long as this is my first time hearing this, I'm kind of like, dang, that's crazy, For me, I didn't grow up with kind of what he did, so it's kind of hard for me to experience that or to understand that situation. Maybe some of you guys will understand. There's so many people, so there's a lot, a lot of things. So everyone has their own origin, where they come from. That's it for me right now. I'm not sure any other thing you should put into this.
I don't know. I guess just, I always feel like your beginnings, they don't have to define you, but they're a piece of the puzzle that is always there with you. It's just something to where, like you said, you never forget. It's something that always exists in your life, and that, even though when you grow, it's kind of like, Nipsey Hussle. I don't mean to reference him because he's dead, but he never forget where he came up from. He never forget how the Marathon store came up, because for people that don't know, it was actually called Slauson Tees. But, he changed it for Marathon, but that's how it began. You never forget those beginnings. You never forget where you came from. What matters.
Just know who you are, make your own journey, your own story. This is our first podcast, so we kind of want to get you guys to feel who we are a little bit, background, We didn't really grow up with everything, but, just like most people, not everyone, all the successful people kind of came, the origin of for them, because everyone has their life, everyone has different stories, we all grew up in a different part of the world. Let's just put it that way, because, I was born in Panama, I was born in Texas, United States, I guess you say. So basically, we kind of like like childhood just where you come from,
Oh, sure.
It was perfect. I mean, it was. Life will be different.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Anything else to add? Or, yeah.
I mean, I think we got most of it. I mean, shoot, that was.
Exactly. Well, I actually have a question. Say, how do you feel about a lot of people in this world, talking about origin? It's like, origin doesn't have to be where you started. It could be what you create as well. A lot of people in life, they have a vision, right? And they have a goal, and that goal, they don't realize it, but the goal that they truly cherish and have passion for, it makes up who they are. Say you want to be a writer, say you want to be an engineer, you do it because of the passion. You don't do it because you don't want to. I mean, sometimes that may be the case if you want to be better, but the whole goal, obviously, is to get better from whatever passion you're doing. So, with that said, how do you feel when people have that vision and they're like, and they've been writing about it on a piece of paper, they've been contemplating it, they tell their friends, they'll be like, hey, but at the end of the day, they never act on it. How you feel about that?
Oh, wow. just taking the first step. I mean, we always plan all the time. We always think about the ideas and plan it all the time. But if you don't put, like you said, act on it, if you don't put it and execute it, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to be on that piece of paper until it rot or whatever, As long as you, put the plan and execute it and start applying the way and just start trying it out, because, we won't know to take the first step, We always plan the outcome, think of failure,
That's true.
We don't know failure until we try. I mean, right now, this is our first step too. Into the podcast, it's our first time, so we're trying something cool and new, Also be authentic, be ourselves, and hopefully we'll inspire people that doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you know when to start and just act on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real podcast. I mean, this is a fucking idea. It just started because I wanted to do it. I mean, obviously, this isn't a perfect podcast, and there won't ever be one. But I can tell you this, and I'll tell this to everybody. Just like I'm a real person, and I'm not this person that's trying to be like everybody else. This is a real fucking podcast, or podcast. It's a real podcast. There's mistakes made, but in order to be the realest podcast, in order to be a podcast with truth and something distinct, you also gotta be you gotta be a person that's real. And you gotta show the mistakes, you gotta do this sometimes. I mean, sure, you can cut some shit out, yeah, you're going to do it. But, obviously overall, where you start, it could be a courageous act for someone to be like, oh, hey, somebody did this with a simple idea. Why can't I do it? Let me try this, A lot of people, they're afraid to try something new with an idea, and sometimes I never thought that, or I never understood that, but I remember I used to be the same way. I used to be, especially obviously in my past, I mean, it correlates to this, but I used to be hesitant to do certain things and kind of believe in myself, because those memories from the past, they'd always pop up and be like, damn, well, you went through this, so you're probably not going to be anything in life, or like this happened in school, or yada, 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 and it's like, damn, you really shouldn't talk to this person, because with everything you went through in the past, you're not going to go anywhere. I remember I experienced that freshman year. I remember after everything I dealt with in middle school, I'll never forget this, but one of my homeboys, his girlfriend, she talked to me, and I remember we weren't friends at the time, but I remember I thought she was fine. I thought she was cool. She was a cool and nice person. I met her in math class. I'm not gonna say her name because I'm not gonna start problems. But I remember I saw her and I was like, damn, is this real? Like, this person is actually talking to me? And I remember freshman year, I was so timid. I was so afraid because of everything that happened in middle school, to where when a person talks to me, it was just like, damn, what do I do? What do I say? I was so timid to the point it was like if you were to talk to me freshman year, or you were like trying to get deep in contact, I wouldn't know what to tell you, because it was just like I was never used to someone putting any value or even noticing me, because I remember I was always a chump in middle school, and when I went to freshman year, like, everything I felt, it showed. It showed so bad. I mean, I did my best to hide it, and obviously, people in high school don't really care. But for somebody who is like really analytical about things, analytical about personas and actions and stuff like that, you start to realize that if somebody were to look at me, they'd be like, damn, he's a fucking coward. He's so afraid. He's so timid. He doesn't know what to say. That's why a lot of times, especially now, I mean, when somebody has something to say, I don't know what to say. Because before when I was going through school and all that shit, talking to people, talking to parents, I didn't know what the fuck to say. Because I could never relate. I could never understand. Because I'd always have that shit in the back of my mind being like, oh, damn, I was such a loser. Man, this guy won't like me, or this girl won't like me, and stuff like that. And, a lot of people, they deal with that. That trauma, whatever the case, it always prevents them to go and undertake an idea. It always prevents them to go step out of the box and be like, you know what, I could do something. Or, you know what, I could be something. And I think that's what, when you think about it, I think that's what holds a lot of people back from being successful and being where they want to go. Because a lot of people feel stuck and trapped in their demons. They feel like that bullshit they went through, that's their life and that's all they'll ever be. And it isn't until they get out of that shit and really look at their achievements, such as maybe running a mile, or maybe getting all A's, whatever the case, no matter how insignificant the achievement may be, it's something to start off of. It's until they look at that and it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe I could be something. No, we never think of that, huh? That's the truth, man.
Yeah, dude.
You didn't expect that, huh?
No, just like, all right.
Exactly.
Like I say, just speak from the truth, man. Just just speak from your mind. Let your mind speak. Just whatever comes out, just let it go out and see what you really think. Like when you talk, I'm not learning, cause you're listening, you're learning, Every day we're learning something new. Learn something new just now.
Yeah, that's it.
It's crazy. Like I said, our mind's limitless basically, and just there's a limit to it. And I always think that way. Just like, what can I learn from this person? You just have to open your mind, just really see what the other person's trying to say. Open your ears. Shut up, listen, and just see how far you can learn. And then you can help other people. You can oh, this person said this. Well, this person doesn't know. I can talk to that person. Hey, this happened or that happened. Just speaking his mind. Just.
Well, I think a lot of people are afraid just to I always say this phrase, look in the mirror, because I think a lot of people are just, what stops them is just being real and authentic. Because I remember I wrote a song, and I'll share it with you. But if people that have my Snapchat know, I write songs sometimes. I put them in a notebook. But I guess, or actually, I remember I wrote a song. It's called Honesty Part 1. And there's 2 parts to it. But this was one verse I wrote, and I'm gonna go say it. But just looking to your past, it's like crooked teeth, all that, ugly boy, rep that, picked on, true that, hands on triggers they were firing, devil had a laugh, I was suffering, arrival at home turned to travesty, life turned hell, it was misery, dad at the time couldn't ease the pain, fell out of place, I held the shame, loved the green bottle, quite the cane, led to fights, I went insane, chose the faucet, all hot, burned face for not being what they want to be and being a wannabe. Like a lot of people, I feel, especially since I overcame it, and it took a long time, I'm not going to front, but a lot of people are afraid to go back to that $7 apartment. And I'm quoting David Goggins, but a lot of people are afraid to go back there. I swear to God, I swear to God, because it's hard for me to talk to people. It really not because I'm afraid to talk with them. It's because a lot of people want to talk on the surface. They want to be like, "Oh, how's your day, Troy? How's your day? Your day good?"
It's okay.
No,
it's been shit.
What you've been up to in your life, and instead of diving deep into that, they ask these surface-based questions like, "How you been? What you doing? How's the kids? How's this? How's that?" They don't. Okay. They don't like. What's your social media? What do you follow? What do you like? They ask these surface-based questions. They don't ask you, how's your life been? Who are you as a person? And I'm not saying you have to be deep or philosophical over and over again, but it's like people don't want to open up. And, a lot of people who, like the successful people, I'm not saying you have to be rich, but I'm saying people that are successful in peace of mind, they open up because they don't give a fuck. They've already made it. Like, people are so afraid to do that. And they get caught up in stupid shit like social media. I'm not saying social media is a bad thing. It's good to connect and good to do that. But like I always say, when you're putting time and investment into other people's life versus you looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, there's a problem here. Or being like, oh, I remember in middle school, I was picked on because my dad didn't have money for braces. Oh, I remember they called me crooked teeth. I remember they called me, or I remember in middle school, because I didn't have all that, and these bullies, they asked every fucking girl in my middle school, oh, would you ever date Dom? Every one of them said no, and I fucking remember that. I remember that, and it hurt. And that shit that I went through, it left scars into my mind that I will probably never forget. But the thing is, I know damn well since I wrote this, and I wrote this in summer, and I posted it on social media, a lot of people wouldn't do this shit. And if somebody like translates the lyrics and looks at it, they could look at a line such as chose the faucet. What does faucet mean? It's fucking, it's a sink. And then after that, burned face for not being what they want to be and being a wannabe. And why I said that line is because sophomore year, there was this girl I liked, and she was beautiful as fuck. And I remember I bought her roses, and I remember I looked at my face and I had acne. Everybody has fucking acne, right? So You know, I remember I picked up my face and my skin because so many times everybody would be like, oh, Dom has acne. And I look at all these other people and be like, oh, they don't have acne. You know, how do they not have acne? And I'd have that ingrained in my brain being like, oh, you know, these kids don't have acne. Like, what can I do to get that? Why do I have acne? And that idea just popped in my mind whenever I looked in the mirror being like, damn, I have acne. I have a pimple here. I've read this. I've read that. It's like, oh my gosh, how do I get this off? And I remember one day, because I wanted to impress this girl. Like, I remember I had like a little bit of redness on my face, and I was trying to do everything to get it out. I put Proactiv, I put the skin, nothing was fucking working. I was like, damn, you know, it's almost Thanksgiving break. I want to ask her out to a Mavs game. You know, I really want to see if I can make something happen. So I remember what I did was fucking loco, but so I went to a sink. I picked the hot water, put it all the way up, put a white towel in there, shoved it in the hot water. It wasn't boiling hot, but it was really hot. And I rubbed that towel all on my face so damn hard that I remember there was blood on the fucking towel. And I remember I did that shit just to impress a girl. Obviously my skin got better, but you know, I remember shit like that where I do stupid shit like that just to go impress other people. I look at this idea. I put other people who had this skin, this money over me. And you don't realize how pathetic that is. David Goggins knows. But to do something stupid as that, it's terrible. And, you know, I know a lot of people may have not done stupid shit like that, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are afraid to be like, you know what? Damn, I remember this moment here where I literally fucking chose to do cocaine, meth, and all this shit. I put drugs over my family. I went and spent $100 on fucking grams of cocaine and meth rather than invest it into my house where I'm living. Even though it's a piece of shit house, I chose drugs over putting it towards the bills so I could feed my family or help my family. It's just simple shit like that. People get the idea. But, you know, I think the biggest problem in life so far is, like David Goggins said, people are just afraid to face the problems. I mean, it may be scary. I'm not gonna lie to you. It may be fucking scary. But when you build a foundation off that, it's like nothing else can hurt you anymore. It's like basically fuck what anybody else has to say. Cause I went through the fucking worst. It's like, fuck whatever happens, you know, because I don't give a fuck. You can say whatever the fuck you want about me. I don't care. I know damn well that I've been through it all, and I know damn well I'm going to fucking make it one way or another, you know. And that's what you get when you face these fears, when you face this past. And people just don't want to dive in there. I never understood why.
They're afraid to face the truth. You know, the truth is scary. But I think you go face the truth, you kind of learn more about yourself. You know, if you don't face it, you're running away from it. You know, you're not going to get better. You're just going to put that aside and just not think about it. But it's going to haunt you still, day in and day out. Sleep about it, dream about it. It's going to get you and tell you like, alright, well, this thing needs to go away. It's time we look in the mirror and just face it, you know. You can't run away from the truth, you know. You're wearing it. You know, your face, you know, your eyes, you see it, you know, you see it every day. People look at you and then look at yourself as well. You know, people judge you, but the only one that I think the most judging, as in like the criticize, I guess, it will be yourself, because you know, you criticize yourself more, and you put yourself down. You can make yourself eat a lot of food, gain weight, be alcoholic, do drugs, cocaine, like you said. You know, you put those and try to kill the pain away, but it's gonna stay with you until you face it.
Exactly.
It's about taking the first step. You know, look in the mirror and ask yourself, you know, is this who I am, or this is the surface? This is just the happy myself, a happy version of myself instead of the real me.
It's true. It's true. You know, every time or not every time I go to the superstore, but majority of the time, I always hate it when I see a fucking Heineken bottle. I really fucking do. No, because my dad used to get drunk off it all the fucking time. He would just get so enamored with Heineken to where he'd just drink and drink and drink, and he'd get drunk and he would do whatever the fuck he wanted. It didn't matter if he wanted to fucking try and beat my ass or just, you know, say some stupid criticism shit. He would just like, Heineken. You know, just whatever. Like, I remember I dealt with that some. I fucking hate alcohol. I mean, I drank it a couple times. I never got drunk, but I was just like, I was thinking of that moment to where I'm like, you know, I don't want to end up like that. Cause I dealt with a lot of, you know, like David Goggins said, one of the worst things you could ever face is a drunk, insecure man. And I understood that real quick when he said that. Crazy. It's real life. It's real life, that's for sure. But yeah. Huh? What you think? What, you surprised?
No, it's just like, damn, alright.
You see? I mean, you just gotta be. Like I said, it's a real authentic podcast. Like, I'm not trying to BS people. It may be long, but it's something to where, you know, the whole intent is, you know, be you, be yourself. And that goes to one of the girls I met at my writing class. She was like, you know, I want to have the courage to speak out these mental illnesses and stuff like that. And she prompted me just to go the extra mile and be like, you know what, fuck it. Let me go tell people what I went through. Let me go tell people the struggle I had to went through and just put my writing out there. And that's what I do.
Just do it. I mean, shit, you only one, so why not try to impact someone's life, right? Or at least one person.
Exactly. Oh.
Friend, family, anyone you care, just do it. You know. Basically, yeah, just try it out.
True, that is true. So speaking of that, from our beginnings, where do you want to end up at the end of the day? Where do you want to, like, say you had your, I guess, dream life?
I guess my dream life, as in like what I want to do for life, to the top, I guess, just, you know, just be humble and always just stay, you know, be myself. As in this first interview, this video, this is who I am. I mean, I'm not gonna change to be someone else. You know what I mean?
That is true.
Just like, I know this is our first video, I get it, you know, but it's like, you know, when I get to the top, I want to be the same person as who I am right now, sitting in this chair, speaking off my mind and, you know, just being real, you know, just, I'm trying to impact people's life as in, we're achieving something too. We're trying to chase greatness. Like, my shirt says chase greatness, oddly, but yeah. But, you know, it's just about finding yourself. Like, actually, success is like, everybody means different success, okay? Because people can have millions of dollars, be happy, or someone can have, like, a nice family, you know, making living that make them happy and enjoy their family, you know. Everyone has their own, because we get kind of, like, crammed with all this social media. I mean, it's great to look at. For business-wise, it's good for that. But if it's, like, admiring people idle a lot and you're just looking every day, day in and day out, kind of like stalking them, I guess, like, what they do, what did I do after the post new one, I like it, you know. So basically, you don't want to get trapped into that. Like, that's their life, you know. They do that for a living, obviously. But for you, you should figure out yourself, you know, just be outside of social media life and just kind of be human, just be more human. I feel like we're more becoming more robot. I mean, it feels like it. You know, everybody has a phone. I mean, like if you look outside in public, everyone's bending down looking at the phone. Like you can just see it, right? You know, it's this new norm now. Everyone has a phone. We look at this, and we just look at the screen. We don't socialize. We don't do that else. That's what insecurity comes up now, and self-insecure, all of this stuff. Like you just heard, you know, talking about stuff like that. People are afraid to open up. Nowadays we're all closing in instead of like opening out. You know, like if you see animals on the street or something, they're just exploring. They're just doing what they have to do. You know, you know what I mean? 'Cause,
Sure.
like, they don't have technology. I mean, that'd be kind of weird, but you know, but just explore and just get out of the comfort zone and just like push yourself out there. You want to do business? Do business. If you want to build a rocket, go build a rocket. Go read books about rocket. Elon Musk. But you know, just do it for yourself, as in your happiness. Either you want to be a scientist, engineer, a doctor, lawyer, an entrepreneur, or a teacher, or a yoga teacher, or whatever. Basically anything that you want to do in your life and kind of resemble who you are as a person. You know, if you like to talk to people, do that. If you don't like to talk to people, stay behind a desk. You know, just figure out what you love to do and, you know, make yourself happy. That's important too, because, you know, there's just a lot of things going on in this world, and, you know, you just gotta find yourself first before you do go outside and find someone else.
It's true. You know, it's funny you said that we're like robots, and it was funny because before I came to your house, there was this, I was watching YouTube, and I was watching Gilbert Arenas. He was a basketball player. Cold, really cold. I think he could be one of the best shooting guards of all time, but unfortunately, he did some stupid shit where he brought a gun into the locker room, so, or he either brought a gun or he just had it in his locker, and I guess somebody found it, and then he got kicked out of the league for like a bit, stuff like that. But yeah, he did that. I mean, don't worry, he's okay now. I mean, he made $62 million in 17 games, and now he's on a couch. Just his life is good. And he said one quote that I won't forget. And Gilbert, he's kind of fucking crazy ass guy. He really likes. If you saw his Instagram, you'd think he's loco. But basically, he said something. He said a quote which I thought about, and he's like, "Man, I you know, when I go on social media, I hate seeing this positive shit." And he's like, and the interviewer's like, "Why?" And it's because so many people fill social media with so much positive stuff. Like, it's like, oh, Motivation Monday, Throwback Tuesday. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's like
Thursday.
it's just stupid stuff like that, and they put all this positive. He's like, nah, man, I just put negative, like whatever. He's like negative or comedic stuff, because he's like, that's what social media is about. And when I thought about it, I'm like, that's so true, because so many, like, you know, so many people who aren't really about that positivity, they'll copy and be like, oh, you know, Motivation Monday, you know, I'm trying to do good. I'm helping these volunteers here. You know, they just do it. They don't do it to help volunteers or help the poor. They do it just to get attention and be like, "Aw, that's great." And it makes you think. It made me think, because even though he is a loudmouth, it's like it actually makes sense. So many people are caught up in this, especially on social media. They're caught up into this format where it's like, you have to have Motivation Monday. You have to have Something Tuesday. You have to have Wild Wednesday. I don't know what the fuck it's called.
Wednesday's Hump Day.
Exactly. It's like all this wild stuff, and it's like, you know what? He's right. He's being his fucking self. I'm glad he is. So, that's what it's about. True. Well, yeah. Got any questions for me, or?
I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, kind of got all the sum up of basically everything you think of.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Not everything. I mean, knowledge is
infinite. Be more podcasts about other certain things.
Knowledge is infinite, my friend.
Yeah, always learning every day. You know, learning right now.
Definitely. And just because he's wearing a rock shirt doesn't mean I'm not chasing greatness. I have a Tupac shirt, so he's the realest of the real.
Hey,
Ambitions of a rider.
Real too. Hardest worker in the room.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I guess until he meets David Goggins, I'm fucking around. I'm fucking around. But yeah. Well, this is our podcast. I mean, you know, it's a start. It's something real. It's something, I guess, true to the word, to where, you know, a lot of people are afraid to be themselves, and this is just an avenue for people to be themselves. We're not people trying to promote this bullshit where it's like you need to do this to be successful or trying to gain followers. No, like, I'm not gonna use the term followers. We're trying to grow a community to where people want to be real with each other. People want to have these deep conversations. People want to talk about these non-sexy topics and grow. There's people that want to come in and bring ideas and just be themselves. And a lot of people, they're afraid of that. They're afraid of that. Like I said, you know, a woman may go through rape and they may never want to open up to anybody again. And I'm not saying that's shame on her, because it's a traumatic event. But what we're trying to do is push that fear away, or let that woman embrace, okay, this happened, but I can grow strong and be a better person and not let that incident affect me. You know, this is what this podcast is about. Just trying to grow and bring people in the mix to where, you know, like Troy always says, he stays true to himself. Well, we want people to be true to themselves. No matter what it is, we want people to be real and honest and concrete. We want people that just, instead of trying to be something they're not, they become their true selves, and really just bring their true focus and their true life into the mix of ours. You know, this is what it's about, man. I mean, an idea, whatever it is in life, a relationship, you're gonna have to be real. At the end of the day, you can't fake it out, because if you fake it out, you're just gonna live your life with regret. And we're not here to do that. We're here to inspire courage and break that fear away, and really give people a life to where they're proud of. I mean, we're not going to gift it to you, but we can give you the tools in order to do that.
Just, go for it, Just wherever your mind, just stay true. That's very key, because that's who you are, No one can duplicate you, like I explained earlier. But, just be yourself. I mean, it's some cliche, but just be yourself. Like, you be happy, right? When you're alone with yourself, like, yeah, I'm doing something I like to do. I'm happy. No one's judging me for doing what I would love to do. Do it. You like playing games? Play games. You like listening to music? Go listen to it. You like playing guitar? Do it. Whatever you like to do, just do it. Make yourself happy. Always. I mean, it's that simple, It really is. Like, do something you like to do and be happy. There's nothing can replace that, You have money, whatever. But that's just temporary. But you do something to long-term happiness, getting better at learning guitar or doing a new skill that you want to try out. Just try it out and see if you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. So try something new. Either learn a new language or learn new cultures or travel the world. Simple things. Just don't overthink it. That's one thing. You don't want to overthink it. Then you're trying to stress for no reason. And, you like going to the pet store, go pet the dogs and cats. It makes you happy.
Exactly.
Just do what makes you happy. That's really much it. I mean, I'm not saying what I'm doing right now is making myself happy, but I'm getting there, just doing step by step, it's a baby steps,
Shit, you wouldn't be filming this if you weren't happy doing it.
Yeah,
Like.
Alright. But you know what I mean? Just do something you like to do. Be happy,
Sometimes the simplest things in life matter the most. That's all you need to remember. Sometimes the simplest things, whether it's being open or just, treasuring something simple as writing a piece of paper or doing a task that's so simple. Sometimes that's the most meaningful and most healthy thing for you to do. So on that note, that's our podcast, and it's about origins. So I'm glad y'all listened. I'm glad y'all were here. Every day we're trying to grow, and that's what we're about. And all we ask is that, you guys listen and pay attention and, take something from it and grow as an individual. If you guys think this could help somebody or, maybe propel somebody to do bigger and better things, share it, pass on, because it's always good to pass on good information. It's always good to help people, because helping people doesn't cost money. Helping people isn't this stupid financial investment that is a scam or a hoax. This is something real, to where you can take words and fabricate them into your own future, in a future you want. So, if you guys like it. If you guys have any, comments or have anything to say, put them in the comments below.
Especially because, if you guys learn something cool about this podcast, if you learn from us, make sure to write it down in the comments. Help others too. Just learn something, either from us or you just got an idea. Put it down in the comments, and help others too, because people that might not have all the time to watch the video or the podcast, but they can take something from it and then they can use it in their lives. Hopefully it can transform their life to become better, going from good to better. So just think about the positive outcome of this video, this podcast.
Exactly. And also, for those who've been with us for almost a year, we're going to be doing some big things. No guarantees, but I'm telling you this, we're going to try some new things and put them on the channel, let you guys know through news and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing that, and we'll let you know how it goes when it happens. So, we're going to be doing some big things. We're going to be trying new things, because, you got to have courage to take those risks and, be something and get somewhere. So
that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Because we're here to try new things and experience new things.
Exactly.
Just do it.
Don't worry, we'll get better as we go.
Yeah, there we go. It's about improving in the process, baby steps.
Exactly. Well, thank y'all for listening. This is Godson King's Court, and this is my boy
Troy Fee.
Exactly.
Peace out.
Y'all know how I do. D. Bethencourt, we out.